ChatGPT said, one of the most misunderstood truths about people with avoidant attachment is this: they're not actually running from love, they're running from danger that masquerades as love. That's why emotional safety, more than passion or praise or even physical attraction, becomes the ultimate aphrodisiac for them. It's the invisible spark that quietly begins melting their resistance from the inside out. See, an avoidant isn't pushing you away because they don't care. They're pushing because closeness feels like a trap. It stirs up old echoes of enmeshment, of losing themselves, of love being conditional or suffocating. So when you come at them with intense emotion or urgency, they interpret that as threat, not connection. The paradox is, the moment they sense they're not being chased, their nervous system can finally relax enough to be curious about you. That's the first secret turn-on most people never see coming. Safety, not safety as in bland or detached, but safety as in, you're free to be exactly who you are here, and nothing bad will happen. It's subtle, it's energetic. It's the way your body stays calm when they pull away instead of tightening with anxiety. It's the way you hold your ground, emotionally rooted, instead of collapsing into fear or trying to pull them back. That stability is intoxicating to someone who's spent their whole life bracing for emotional chaos. Because if love has always meant losing control, then meeting someone who can love without trying to control them feels like sunlight on cold skin. What happens inside their mind is fascinating. When you embody emotional safety, their survival brain, which usually fires like an alarm at the first sign of intimacy, starts to quiet down. The amygdala, that fear center, stops lighting up like a battlefield, and the prefrontal cortex can finally step back in. That's when desire awakens. Not because you've won them, but because they feel like they can explore connection without being consumed by it. And that changes everything. They stop scanning for escape routes and start leaning in, not because you pulled them, but because you stopped pulling altogether. Here's the part most people miss: emotional safety isn't about what you do to them. It's about who you are when you're with them. Are you grounded in your own worth, or are you silently asking them to make you feel worthy? Because avoidants are hypersensitive to unspoken emotional agendas. The moment they feel like they're responsible for your self-esteem, they run. But when you radiate the energy of, I'm good with or without your validation, something flips. You become unpredictable in the best way, someone who doesn't need to control them, and that unpredictability becomes magnetic. So if you want to unlock an avoidant's heart, don't start by pushing for closeness. Start by mastering calm presence. Let silence breathe between you without trying to fill it. Let their distance be neutral instead of personal. Let them see that you can stand still in the storm. Because the truth is, love doesn't pierce an avoidance armor through force. It dissolves it through safety. When they realize you're not trying to invade their world, they'll invite you into it. Here's the thing about people with avoidant attachment. They walk through life carrying an armor made of self-reliance, but underneath it there's often a quiet H, a belief that they're somehow not enough. They rarely say it out loud, and they might not even fully recognize it themselves, but it's there. That's why subtle validation can be so disarming. Not the loud, over-the-top kind that feels like pressure or flattery, because that makes them suspicious. I'm talking about the kind of acknowledgement that slips under their radar. That simply mirrors back something true about who they are without asking them to be anything more. When they feel seen in that way, it stirs something primal. It touches the part of them that's been starving for acceptance without obligation. Think about it. If someone has spent years associating intimacy with performance, having to earn love through achievement, competence, or perfection, then every compliment they've received has come with an invisible hook. It hasn't been, I see you. It's been, do more of this or I'll keep loving you. So naturally, they've learned to distrust praise. But when you offer validation that's specific, grounded, and free of any emotional demand, it short-circuits their defenses. Saying, I love how your mind works when you solve problems, or I admire the way you stay calm under pressure, tells them you're noticing the essence of who they are, not just what they can give you. That kind of recognition doesn't trigger their fear. It awakens their longing. Here's where it gets fascinating psychologically. When you validate an avoidant gently, you're actually rewiring their internal model of relationships. Their nervous system has been conditioned to expect judgment or withdrawal, not warmth. So when warmth arrives without strings, their brain struggles to categorize it until it begins to realize, wait, maybe closeness isn't dangerous. Maybe being seen can actually feel good. That realization creates a micro dose of emotional safety, and safety is what unlocks desire. They begin to relax just enough to want more of that feeling, and in wanting more, they edge closer to you. The craving isn't for your praise, it's for the rare experience of being accepted without having to earn it. But let me be clear, this only works if your validation comes from true inner abundance, not hidden need. If there's even a trace of desperation behind your words, they'll sense it instantly. Avoidants have an almost sixth sense for emotional pressure. That's why the art here isn't just in what you say, but in the energy you carry when you say it. It's the difference between, I'm praising you to make you like me, and I'm acknowledging you because I already like myself. One is grasping, the other is generous. One tightens their walls, the other quietly opens a door. And when that door cracks open, even for a moment, you see something extraordinary. Their guardedness softens, their eyes light up. and their presence becomes just a little more available. They may not pour their heart out, but they'll lean closer. They'll start to associate you with the feeling of being enough. And that's a powerful shift. Because when an avoidant begins to believe they are enough, they stop running from connection and start reaching for it. One of the greatest misconceptions about people with avoidant attachment is that they don't want closeness. The truth is they crave it deeply, just not at the cost of their autonomy. And this is where so many well-meaning partners get it wrong. They think closeness has to come from constant availability, from being ever present, from closing the gap so tightly there's no space left between two people. But for an avoidant, that very closeness can feel like suffocation. It's not the presence that scares them. It's the fear of disappearing inside someone else. So when you stop trying to close the distance and instead start living a life so full and magnetic that it naturally pulls them toward you, something powerful happens. Independence becomes desire. There's something psychologically and even philosophically compelling about mystery. The human mind is drawn to what it can't fully possess, and for an avoidant, mystery is oxygen. When they can't entirely predict you, when your emotional world doesn't orbit around them, their mind starts leaning forward. It's not about playing games or being cold. It's about showing them that you are a whole, self-led being who chooses connection, not clings to it. And that choice is intoxicating, because now they don't see you as someone trying to take their freedom. They see you as someone who honors your own. This independence doesn't mean shutting them out. It means standing firmly in your own life. It's when you have passions that light you up, friendships that energize you, goals that challenge you, and a sense of purpose that doesn't rise or fall on their attention. That energy is magnetic. It signals that you are not trying to extract your identity from them. And for someone whose deepest fear is being consumed, that is irresistible. Their nervous system interprets your independence as safety. This person won't collapse into me. This person won't disappear inside my approval. I can move closer without losing myself. Here's what's fascinating. The moment they sense you don't need them to regulate your emotional world, their fear circuitry quiets down. That survival instinct that usually screams run goes silent. And what replaces it is curiosity. They start to wonder about you, where you go, what drives you, what makes you light up when they're not around. That curiosity becomes the spark that melts their resistance. Because now connection isn't something they feel trapped in. It's something they get to pursue. And pursuit for an avoidant is sacred. It means they are moving towards you of their own free will, not being pulled in against their will. That single shift, pressure to curiosity, changes everything. But here's the paradox. You only become truly magnetic to an avoidant when you stop trying to be magnetic. When your fulfillment isn't a performance to get their attention, but an authentic overflow of who you are, it hits differently. It tells them, I'm not here to complete you. I'm here to walk beside you. That message breaks through walls because it doesn't try to break through walls. It just stands there unwavering while those walls begin to crumble on their own. If there's one thing that quietly pulls someone with avoidant attachment out from behind their walls, it's emotional attunement. The ability to read their inner world without demanding that they explain it or justify it. Because here's what most people don't realize: avoidants aren't distant because they don't feel. They're distant because they feel too much. And they've learned that revealing those feelings usually leads to pain, judgment, or loss of control. So they lock it all down. They go silent, they go cold, they retreat. Not because they don't care, but because they don't trust what will happen if they're fully seen. Now imagine the shock to their system when someone notices their subtle emotional shifts and responds with gentle understanding instead of interrogation. It's disarming, it's foreign. When you say something as simple as, "You seem quiet tonight. No need to talk, just know I'm here." You're doing something radical. You're proving that connection doesn't have to be invasive. You're showing that emotional presence can exist without pressure. And that distinction is everything. Because avoidants expect closeness to mean losing control. But attunement gives them closeness and control. It whispers, you can be exactly where you are, and it's safe. Here's what's fascinating from a psychological perspective. When an avoidant feels attuned to, their nervous system shifts out of hypervigilance. Their body starts to release the tension it holds like armor. The brain stops scanning for threat and starts processing safety cues instead. This isn't about logic, it's primal. Long before they consciously register it, their body is already softening in your presence. And with that softening comes an unexpected wave of relief. Relief that they don't have to defend themselves. Relief that they can exist without performing. That relief is what makes them want to stay. But here's the crucial nuance. Attunement isn't about fixing or rescuing them. It's not about diving into their emotional world and dragging their feelings into the light. That would feel invasive and they'd shut down again. True attunement is quieter. It's curiosity without intrusion. It's allowing space while staying emotionally anchored yourself. It's listening more than you speak and noticing more than you react. That restraint is powerful because it gives them choice. Choice to open or not. And when they sense they have that choice, they often choose openness. Not because you pried them open, but because you made it safe to open. What makes this so potent is that it flips their core fear on its head. They've believed for years that vulnerability equals danger. But when you meet their emotions with steady presence instead of urgency, They begin to experience vulnerability as connection instead. It's a new emotional blueprint. And once they taste that, even in tiny doses, they want more. They start sharing a little more, staying a little longer, reaching a little closer. And it's not because you convinced them. They convinced themselves through the safety you consistently offered.